the Congress of People's Deputies of the Russian SFSR, and since 1991 Congress of People's Deputies of the Russian Federation, was the supreme government institution in the Russian SFSR and in the Russian Federation from the 16th of May 1990 to the 21st of September 1993. Elected on the 4th of March 1990 for a period of 5 years. It was dissolved by presidential decree during the Russian constitutional crisis of 1993 and ended de facto when the Russian White House was attacked on the 4th of October 1993. The Congress played an important role. Some of the most important events in the history of Russia during this period, such as the declaration of independence of Russia from the USSR, the rise of Boris Yeltsin, and economic reforms. Main functions. The Congress had the power to pass laws by majority, which must then be signed by the President. The Congress held the ultimate power in the country and some of the most important powers: declaration of referendums, impeachment of the President, etc. were exclusive powers of Congress, exercised solely by its composition. The Congress officially consisted of 1068 deputies, most of whom were elected in the general election on the 4th of March 1990, but the actual size varied due to several re-elections and structural changes. 900 deputies were elected from the territorial regions, proportional to population, 168 more from the national territorial regions, 64 from the 16 autonomous republic, 10 from the 5 autonomous regions, 10 from the 10 autonomous area, 84 from Krais oblasts, and the cities of Moscow and Leningrad. A total of 1,059 deputies were elected by the beginning of the first session of the Congress on the 16th of May 1990. 1037 deputies were present on 21 September 1993, 938 on the 4th of October 1993. Two-thirds of the deputies had to be present for the Congress to meet the quorum sessions. Constitutionally, the Congress was required to meet every year, but actually, due to the turbulent events during these years, it met from 2 to 3 times a year. The Congress gathered in the Grand Kremlin Palace and held a total of 10 sessions. Its last session was held after the presidential dissolution decree, and was interrupted by armed attack on the White House by forces loyal to the President of Russia, Boris Yeltsin. First, the 16th of May 1990 to 22 June 1990. Second, the 27th of November 1990 to 15 December 1990. Third, the 28th of March 1991 to 5 April 1991. Fourth, the 21st of May 1991 to 25 May 1991. Fifth, the 10th of July 1991 to 17 July 1991, the 28th of October 1991 to 2 November 1991. Sixth, the 6th of April 1992 to 21 April 1992. Seventh, the 1st of December 1992 to 14 December 1992. 8. The 10th of March 1993 to 13 March 1993. 9th, the 26th of March 1993 to 29 March 1993. 10th, the 23rd of September 1993 to 4 October 1993. Supreme Soviet. The Supreme Soviet of RSFSR was a legislative body elected by the Congress to govern between the congressional sessions. It consisted of 252 deputies, divided into the Council of the Republic elected proportionately to the population size, and another 126 deputies from the Council of Nationalities representing the federal subjects of Russia. functions. The Supreme Soviet was entrusted with the power to pass laws, ratify treaties, assign cabinet members and judges, declare amnesty, and approve presidential decrees. The laws passed by Supreme Soviet were to be signed by the chairman of the Presidium with no right to veto until July 10, 1991. Afterwards the President gained the right to a delaying veto, which could be bypassed by the Supreme Soviet through a simple majority vote. During its sessions the Supreme Soviet passed a total of 333 federal laws. Chairman of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet. The chairman of the Supreme Soviet was elected by the Congress. He was the head of state in Russian SFSR until the creation of the post of President of Russia on 10 July 1991. He signed treaties, nominated candidates for the head of government, conducted diplomacy and signed international agreements. For the 10th of July, the chairman of the Presidium was demoted to the head of the legislative branch of government, a parliamentary speaker. He was also the fourth in line of succession to the presidency, after the vice president and the president of the Council of Ministers. Chairman of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet of Russian SFSR, the 29th of May 1990 to the 10th of July 1991, Boris Yeltsin. The 10th of July 1991 to the 29th of October 1991, Ruslan Khasbulatov. The 29th of October 1991 to the 4th of October 1993, Ruslan Khasbulatov. Boris Yeltsin ran for the post of chairman as a CPSU member twice unsuccessfully, gaining 497 and 503 votes respectively, out of 531 required to be elected. The CPSU then nominated a more moderate candidate, the President of the Council of Ministers, Alexander Vlasov. President of USSR Mikhail Gorbachev publicly spoke out against Yeltsin at the Congress session. After that, Yeltsin ran again on the 29th of May 1990 and gained 535 votes, consequently becoming the leader of Russian SFSR. On the 17th of March 1991, a national referendum was held in Russia in which 54% voted for the introduction of the post of President of RSFSR. On the 12th of June 1991, Boris Yeltsin won the election with 57% and became the first president. After he took office on the 10th of July, 6 election rounds in the Congress were unable to elect a new chairman of the Presidium. On October 29, Ruslan Khasbulatov was elected with 559 votes. Brief history. The 27th of October 1989 Constitution of the RSFSR is modified. Congress of People's Deputies of the Russian SFSR is created. The 4th of March 1990 nationwide election determines the composition of the Congress. The 16th of May 1990 Congress starts the first session. The 29th of May 1990 Boris Yeltsin is elected as chairman of the Presidium by a narrow majority. The 12th of June 1990 the Congress passes the Declaration of Sovereignty of Russia. This initiates the struggle for power in Moscow between the Russian and the Union governments. The 1st of December 1990 the Democratic Russia bloc suffers its first split over the question of committing Soviet troops in the UN-mandated war against Iraq. The supporters of Soviet involvement are overruled by the left wing, and resolution is passed against commitment of Soviet forces. The 17th of March 1991 a nationwide referendum introduces the post of President of RSFSR. Constitution was subsequently amended by Congress on the 24th of May 1991 to provide fundamental legal framework for the Russian presidency. The 12th of June 1991, Yeltsin is elected president of RSFSR with 57% votes. On the 10th of July 1991, he is sworn into office at 5th Congress of People's Deputies of the Russian SFSR. The 17th of July 1991, the Congress fails to elect the new chairman. Consequently, Vice Chairman Ruslan Khasbulatov becomes the acting chairman of the Presidium. The 29th of October 1991, Ruslan Khasbulatov is elected as chairman with 52.79% votes. The 1st of November 1991, the Congress delegates extraordinary powers to President Yeltsin, expiring in 13 months. The 10th of November 1991, the deputies fail to pass a resolution declaring martial law in Chechen-Ingush USSR, thus prolonging the Chechen conflict. The 18th of April 1992, 6th Congress approved overall course of ongoing constitutional reform and basic provisions of Constitutional Commission-backed draft Constitution of the Russian Federation. The 21st of April 1992, the Congress made gradual revision of then-current Constitution of 1978, which had reflected some of decisions already passed by the Russian Supreme Soviet, such as November 1991 adoption of the Declaration of Rights and Freedoms of Man and Citizen, completely new rights and amp duties provisions was written in Chapter 2 of the 1978 Constitution. The 12th of December 1991, independence of RSFSR from USSR. The 25th of December 1991, renaming of the Russian SFSR to Russian Federation, old name of the Republic, was written out of Constitution. The 10th of December 1992, first major clash between the President and the Congress takes place over the congressional refusal to approve Yegor Gaida as the head of government and to prolong the President's extraordinary powers. A compromise is achieved and a referendum is scheduled to be held on March 12, 1993. The 10th of March 1993, an extraordinary session of the Congress cancels the referendum and nullifies the extraordinary powers granted to the President in November 1991. The 20th of March 1993, the President declares a special regime, unilaterally schedules a referendum of confidence, and refuses to obey the Congress until the referendum is held. The 28th of March 1993, to 617 out of 1033 deputies in the Congress vote to impeach Yeltsin. This is 60% lower than the two-thirds required for a successful impeachment. The 29th of March 1993, the Congress schedules a referendum on approval of President Yeltsin's policies and early presidential and legislative elections. The 23rd of April 1993, in the nationwide referendum, the population expresses support for Yeltsin and his policies. The 5th of June 1993, the Constitutional Convention begins. The Congress delegates applaud Khasbulatov while the presidential security grab one deputy and pull him out, pushing aside the prosecutor general. The 18th of September 1993, the President gathers representatives of executive and legislative power of the federal subjects, but they refuse his suggestion to proclaim a new supreme governing body, the Federal Assembly. The 21st of September 1993, Presidential Decree 1400 declares the Congress to be dissolved and schedules elections for the Federal Assembly. This move infringes the law on the President, and leads to the Congress dismissing President Yeltsin, and the power formally passes to Vice President Alexander Rutskoy. The 22nd of September 1993, Congress approves Rutskoy as the new head of state and designates a new cabinet. Dual power leads to street fighting in Moscow. The 4th of October 1993, pro-presidential forces stormed the White House and dissolved the Congress. After dissolving the 12th of December 1993, a new constitution is passed in a referendum. Federal Assembly is elected. Nationalist LDPR takes the plurality of the votes. The 23rd of February 1994, Federal Assembly closes investigation of 1993 armed conflict and declares amnesty. The 26th of February 1994, Prosecutor General agrees to amnesty despite Yeltsin's protests. The 9th of March 1994, Presidential Administration writes a blacklist of 151 former deputies who defended the Congress. These deputies were deprived of their social privileges until they were restored on the 22nd of April by a presidential decree. The 4th of March 1995, the most resistant of the former congressmen celebrated the official end of their delegated powers. Political parties. During the first session of the Congress, 86% were card-carrying members of the CPSU. This number declined steadily as more people resigned from the party. However, new major parties were not quick enough to form, leaving a large percentage of the Congress non-partisan. CPSU was banned by President Yeltsin in November 1991 due to the attempted August coup. The party collapsed completely during the collapse of Soviet Union, and in Russia it was replaced by CPRF. Deputy fractions and blocks. During the first session of the Congress, 24 deputy fractions were registered, numbering 50 to 355 deputies. Dual membership was allowed, so the fraction membership numbered 200% of the entire Congress. Two major blocks quickly formed in opposition to each other, the Communist bloc and the Democratic Russia bloc. The Democratic Russia and its allies were initially in the majority, which allowed Yeltsin to be elected as the chairman of the Presidium. During the fifth session, dual membership in fractions was outlawed. One deputy, one fraction law was passed. However, dual membership still remained an issue, and in April 1992 there were 30 deputies with membership in several fractions. By 1993, a total of 14 fractions remained, and 200 to 210 deputies still haven't declared membership in any fractions. The Democratic Russia bloc collapsed, and resulted in formation of two new blocs, Reform Coalition and Democratic Center. A new bloc called Russian Unity, formed by the conservative communists and the sympathizers and center-left. Creative Forces bloc was formed by the moderate left. Together they constituted majority and voiced opposition to Yeltsin and many of his policies. However, as of March 1993, they still lacked supermajority required for impeachment.